Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mama Genius Festival / podcast. Today, I'm about to bring on Tracy Rickards. I love this woman. She tells us how to dream, how to dream bigger, and how to get those ideas that are empowered inside of us, that whisper inside of you. How do we make those a reality? And that is what the Mama Genius Festival is all about. So Tracy's going to help us with her dream method in a moment. Welcome to Mama Genius Hub Podcast, where we support moms with big dreams, from entrepreneurship to personal aspirations. I'm your host, Michelle DeKaiser, and I'm here to help you unlock your potential in all areas of life. Join us as we explore strategies for thriving in motherhood while pursuing the dreams, the key to actually unlocking your genius. Subscribe now and embark on a journey to realize your fullest potential. So Tracy Rickards, she mentors and teaches personal empowerment, business, and social media skills for women who are growing their entrepreneurships. Her signature online memberships and courses help fempreneurs get a clear and inspiring path to create emotional fulfillment and financial freedom. Dare to dream again. We're going to bring Tracy on so we can dream together. Hi, Tracy. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to hear because you always make me think bigger, dream bigger, and that's what we want to do for the audience today. And so I want to just jump into what is your why behind even wanting to do that?
Oh, yeah. Well, most whys stem from our own experience. And my experience was that I dreamt of having that white picket fence life, the happy home, happy mom with the kids and all that kind of stuff. But my heart was really as an entrepreneur. And so I had a hard time making the two of those work. Well, I found while I was at work, I was feeling guilty for not being at home. And when I was home, I was feeling guilty for not being at work. And so I spent a lot of time and wasted energy. And what I found out later was that there was a way to blend the two, right? The white picket fence and the corporate mama. And a happier mom is happier kids. And so I want to help people have what I feel like I kind of missed out on.
I love that so much. I love how you put the idea of blending the fence and the corporate life because it's true. Like we keep thinking one or the other, or we're thinking that it's not even that it's one or the other. It's like, what am I going to be taking away from my family if I go this direction? And I know that was really something that hit me hard when I was going the entrepreneur route. But I never asked the question, which is what I like to throw out there. What will my family be gaining by me going down this path? And I know you have so many ideas on that aspect and how we can dream bigger. So I'm just going to turn it back to you.
You bet, you bet. One of the difficulties is that a lot of us we go to work, go to jobs because we need to pay the rent. And that's a hardcore fact. That's just how the way it is. But if we can step back and look at it from a wider lens, a wider perspective, when we go to that job, someone is getting their dream met. And it's not us, it's the boss that's hired us to help them live a better, bigger life for their families. And so if they can do it and they're human, well, then why can't we do it too? After that, it just becomes a matter of engineering it so it becomes possible for your family, your lifestyle, your skills, your energy. And really, that's it at the end of the day.
I love that so much. I love how you put when you go to a job, someone is getting their dream. And why isn't it me?
Right.
And I think that's what it really does come down to. And that's even why I want to do this festival is because when we do live in our genius, we are living in those dreams. And I'm going to admit they're not always easy because I'm going to say I'm ready to pull my hair out some of the days of these festivals, and it may have been a little too long. And I'm admitting all that live right now. And there's a huge but in there. I'm doing it on my own accord, and I chose to go down certain paths to do this versus having someone tell me what I need to do and doing it for them. And this is growing and doing something for my family. So I'd love to just start diving into the dream method because I'm so excited for us to dream together.
Yes, absolutely. For sure. Well, let's first of all talk about the ability to dream because we are all born as these, you've heard the word before, these little sovereign beings. We come into the world and we have our voice, we cry when we're hungry, we cry when we're wet, and no one tells us that to use our voice. But it isn't long until after that we're kind of conditioned out of using our voice, right? We're taught to walk and to talk, and then it's not long we're taught to sit down and shut up. And then we go into schools, and it's like, okay, now here's the things that you learn, and if you don't say them exactly right, well, then you're wrong. And don't get your head out of the clouds. Stop daydreaming.
Mm.
Get focused, and basically we shut our little spirits down in boxes, and that's where it really starts. And so by the time we're about 5, 6, 7, 8, our little creativities are getting on the way to getting squashed.
I love that so much because when you look at a 3-year-old, they're asking 100 questions. By age 11, we're like down to like 2, 3 questions. And it's so true what you were saying about school, because we're then formulate like, well, here's a question. Let me make sure I find the right answer.
Mhm.
Questions have so many answers to it, and that's what we kind of like
Oh.
switch out of us. I love that so much.
Well, what about asking questions in school? Like, how many people are afraid to raise their hand and they ask a question because they're going to look like a dummy,
Mm-hmm.
be ridiculed or humiliated? Well, like, this is what kind of silly system have we got set up here, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And so then we move on to, as teenagers, and things get, kind of maybe even worse than them navigating teenhood. And by the time we get to motherhood, our dreams, our desires are so squashed down in the box. And not only that, the box is put up on the shelf. No, it's maybe got several inches of dust on it. And we've just forgotten about our desires. No. And then we go on into generational patterns where our kids learn from us. Our kids learn to not dream from us. And so I'm talking to you not today as a digital marketer. This is part of the hypnotherapist coming out of me, right? Is unlocking our spirits, unlocking our creativity. And that's where it really starts. We need to take that box of dreams down off the shelf, get the dust off it, grease up the hinges if you need, rip off the top, and find out what is in there. Right? Yeah. Come back to my why. My why is I want this for my daughter. I want this for my granddaughters. I want this for my sons too, and my grandchildren that aren't even born yet. Right?
I love that so much. And we'll be back in 1 minute to really dive into the dream methods that Tracy has. Attention, mompreneurs. Do you feel like you're constantly juggling the responsibilities without a moment to yourself? It's time to pause and reflect with our Mama Genius quiz. Tailored for busy mamas like you, this quiz will help you identify what's blocking your path and inspire you to harness your unique strengths, transform how you manage life and business, find your rhythm, and ignite your joy. Visit mamageniushub.com today to discover your Mama Genius. And that's mamageniushub.com. And we're back. And I just have to reiterate, like, they did the generational patterns, because we were talking about that actually in the last podcast as well, in terms of we have these dreams, like our parents had dreamed for us as kids to have these big dreams and these big lives. But then all of a sudden, you go from these big dreams, big lives to becoming a mom. Like all of a sudden, when you're a mom, you're like, well, now the dreams have to pass to the next person, the next child. So no one's actually living out their dreams, and we're in those generational patterns. And I love that you're here, because together we're here to help break some of those patterns. And so I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about your dream method.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it starts with opening the door, cracking open the door, and saying, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what is the gap in between? And so, in my dream life journal, a dream life manifestation journal is what it is, walk you through that process of daring to connect with your heart and soul again, daring to have a look at some of the areas of your life of where you possibly could have happiness and fulfillment, but yet maybe the lid is still on the box. And I'll walk you through, yes, it's like a guided journal process. So it's over 40 pages, but don't let that scare you, because the whole thing should take months to go through. It's a process. We didn't get locked in the box overnight. We're not going to get out of the box overnight. Yeah, but just daring to connect, daring to peek in there and let some light in. That's the very, very first step. Then, if you're interested in creating that work from home life, then you can take the next step with me after that.
But if I'm not mistaken, DREAM is an acronym, right? What does it stand for? If,
Well, and I actually don't really remember. I just knew I needed to have an acronym for dream. So I'm working on that one. Working on that one. And I think that by the time I have this process, it'll just like roll off my tongue. But right now, it is a process because I'm still in process.
and I think that's the beauty of it as well, is because we keep trying to think it needs to be perfect before we can present it.
Hmm.
And done is better than perfect. And Tracy's here sharing this with you. She's got the knowledge. Maybe it's not wrapped in the present box that we might think that we need to start a business, but that's not what we need to start. By the time we're like, way up there, right down the line, then you got your present. But as we get started to unlock it, she is now a few steps ahead of us so that she can help us. And I think that's where we get stuck, is like, I need to be at the present, gift wrapped, ready to go before I can get started. And the answer is you don't. Done is better.
No, you don't. And that's another thing that we've been conditioned into believing, is that things have to be perfect before they can be. And it's just not the case. And let's just look at the word perfect. Like, perfect according to whom? Who's the judge of what is perfect? And in fact, when we are judging ourselves or others are judging other people as perfect, a lot of times that is just coming from complete fears, our unconscious beliefs underneath about our values, our worth, and what it really means to be, and what it really takes to be, and what's really worth being.
I just want to soak that in for a minute, because I love the words worth being. Because when we're so busy in the busyness of everything, we're just doing and doing.
Mm.
And to really come back and use those words of worth being. And what is it that you want that life to look like? And
Mm.
I think about, and I want to actually dive into your story a little bit more, since I do know it is where you came from to where you are now, because you had the big job, you had the things, and I'd rather not. I want to ask you to take over from there and tell us what made you do that switch.
That's interesting. You've just reminded me of something a mentor told me. She said all the time, she said, "We are human beings. We are not human doings." And so many times we judge our worth on what we're doing, right? Our title, our fancy title, rather than who we are. And just being born into the world means we're worthy, and we are. And so, yeah, so a bit of my story. Well, let's just say I was a very unsatisfied child, and I got into myself into some trouble when I was a young person, 12, 13, 14. And I ended up pregnant at age 15 and a mom at age 16. So 16, when people are learning to drive a car, I couldn't reach the steering wheel because I had belly up to here. And so, um, an amazing thing happened. My mom came to me. I had moved out into my own house. I quit school. I was in grade 10, missed grade 10. And my mom said, "I'm going to babysit and you are going back to school."
Mhm.
I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I think it was probably the first time in years I had said yes, ma'am to my mom. But I went on in the school to learn skills. I didn't like the kind of academic route ish. I ended up in bookkeeping, accounting, and from there went into college because accounting just came natural to me. And so I became an accountant and eventually became a financial controller for a corporation, about $30 million, 150 employees, and worked that job for 17 years of my life. And the
Mm.
amazing thing was that it sounds all wonderful. I had like the big corner office, big picture window overlooking the city, and it sounds wonderful and amazing. But the longer I stayed, the more it became like a prison with like clear glass walls. Because the more I stayed there, the longer I stayed there, the longer it was just crushing my soul. I was the only girl on the all boys team. The only other women that were in the operation worked for me, and I wasn't allowed to befriend them. It was like a super lonely, lonely place. Great money, great benefits. But at the end of the day, I would wake up in the morning and cry because I had to go back to this place. And so that was sort of like the turning point of, you know what, there has to be more. And in the meantime, I had missed all the sunny days. I could see them from my window, but they were out there. I missed my kids growing up. They had to go to the daycares. I missed going to, all the things that moms do, the events and all that. And it was just like, what have I done? What have I traded? And it wasn't worth it. I would trade it all back to go back to be, the stay at home working mom. Be able to control my own schedule. Like even today, right? Feed the cats, throw in laundry, go to work in my pajamas.
Yeah.
Okay, now I gotta comb my hair because I'm gonna meet Michelle.
I'm trying to fix my hair because it's the best right now, sticking out.
But why can't we do both? We can do both, but at what cost? And the other thing is that I think one of the misconceptions is that we have to go to school for 4 or 5 years to get a business degree, get a marketing degree, get all these things, get everything perfect before that we can start a business, create an income for ourselves. It's just not the case. I'm all about shortcuts, efficiency, and getting results.
I love that so much because that's actually been my thinking all along too. I'm being a former teacher. I thought, the path is high school, college. I mean, I look at so many people with college degrees, even now, myself included, like who aren't even doing what you got the degree in, yet you're still paying the student debt, you're still paying all of these things. And then there's the imposter syndrome that comes in with those people who might not have gone to college. Any way you look at it, but really what it really comes down to, and what Tracy's saying as well, is dreaming big and figuring out what it is you actually like doing. Because again, she had all the money. She had, but then it ended up being a clear glass prison, right? We put ourselves in these prisons, self-imposed, to where how do we feel so lost we don't know how to get out of here. And that's what this is all about. Whether, and for you right now, that may feel like motherhood just because of wherever you're at or whatever you're doing, but how do we still have that calling that's inside of here work with the rest of our lives? And I know I've been struggling with that left and right. I mean, different situations with my kids or my husband, or things of how do I manage all of that. And the only thing that I learned, the only way to do it is to do it together with other women who are doing it. And
Mhm.
that is why I even create this festival, why Tracy's here, why all of this works when we have people we can talk to these things about. And it's about how do we work through these situations and things get done funner and faster. And that's what Tracy's telling us about is one of the things that she offers with Sassy Success is that place to do that business. If you want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've been able to create that now as a grandma because, of course, being a mom so young as a grandma at age 39. So, in my 40s, created exactly that. And one of the big mistakes that I made was in jumping in, hiring fancy coaches and all of that stuff, right? Because I ended up um, being not ready for what they were teaching. And so I invested a lot of money that was like a lot of waste, and none of it, never mind that the time. The time I was, not quite wasted, but it was too soon. And so I looked and said, there's like a real gap here of helping women get their start. There's a lot of help for people out there if you're already started, but how do you get that start? And so the Dream Life Journal is for everybody. But then the next step with me is the entrepreneurship stuff. So I've created the Passion to Profit Planner, which is 12 steps to get started. And starting from scratch, that's if you have no business, no product, no nothing, but you have a dream. And so I've created also a free Facebook group to help walk you through those 12 steps. And again, the very first step is beginning to dream, willing to dream, willing to wrap your arms around it, willing to open your heart and open your mind, open it to the possibility that you could be disappointed, but the possibility that something lays out there past disappointment, something bigger, something better, something that aligns with your heart, your mind, your skills, right? And um, often those are the pieces that are missing. We chase a job or we chase a business because of chasing money. And what works better is if you can chase your own heart and your own soul, align with your skills. And then you've heard, if you love your job every day, you will never work a day in your life. I didn't believe it. It could be true. But it
I
really
told you we're
is.
going to prison.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and can you just imagine um, going to work every day and it feels like it's just, my life feels like a party now. Yesterday was Thanksgiving Day in Canada, and I had talked to a friend and said, "Oh, it's just like another work day for me." But can you see how awesome my work days must be? Talking to people, sharing big ideas, sharing dreams. And that's the other thing that I like to do is I'm not the kind of coach that tells anybody what you should be doing to try and squish you down into the next new box, right? It's about facilitating, bringing out your gifts, bringing out those magical pieces of you that is can be found nowhere else, giving you a voice, opening a door.
I
And
love it.
the world doesn't need any more cookie cutters of this and that.
I
We
agree with that so much. I mean, I'm just looking right down the word magical pieces because that's what each of us has inside of us. And we get stuck in the patterns of thinking someone else is doing it, someone else has it. But really, we each have our own. And I love how you bring out the different aspects and give them a path to do this starting out, like so where to start. So right now, honestly, moms, if it's inside of you to dream bigger and you have no idea what you want to do, Tracy's a great place to start because it's really about figuring out how to make that dream happen. And I think that's like where I got stuck for a while too, is I was afraid like I might have had the dream, but then I'm pushing it down because I'm afraid of like putting the implementation or that just works in my head. That's never going to work in real life. I see myself right now running this festival. The implementation is happening when we find the right community to help share those dreams. And I'm going to be honest right now on this podcast that I'm not necessarily honest with my husband about all of this because I still feel with all the questioning and stuff that it's suppressing some of the things I need to get. I'm almost ready to show him all kinds of stuff, but it took me time because you need to make sure when you have that flame burning right here that the right people are around surrounding to make sure it doesn't blow out.
Yes.
And once the big fire, then you're ready to share with more. But really being selective on who you share that first flame with. And finding that right community. And I think Tracy's would be a great one for you.
Yeah, and isn't that a shame that so many of us, it's people closest to us, our family, that are the ones that blow out of the flames,
And
right?
they don't even mean to, but it's just, and they're trying to help or trying to do it in their own way. And I know it's not intentional,
Yeah.
but it happens.
Well, and
And
here's
how,
why it happens though. Because now here's the hypnotherapist hat going on again, right? It's because of the fear inside of our limbic brain, basically. It's our human nature our bodies, our brains trying to protect us, trying to keep us safe. And last time I checked, there was no saber-toothed tiger chasing us, right? And actually, that's one of the things about human beings. Our brains have not evolved so much, but our lifestyle has. And our limbic brain is looking for that tiger that's going to get us. And it's not there anymore. So it makes up stories about what you should be afraid of. It makes up stories that you should be afraid of having your voice. It makes up stories that things have to be perfect. It makes up stories that people are going to judge me and that matters. Why does it even matter? And it's these fears from our limbic brain that are part of the generational, I won't say generational trauma, but generational stuff that's passed down, right? And
Mhm.
I want to ask you a question. When you feel that fear inside, pay attention to that voice. Is that voice even yours? Mine often is the voice of my father and sometimes the voice of my mom. And if I go back, then I can see that it's maybe the voice of my grandparents. And how far back does it go? But that's why we are here together, encouraging each other to be generational pattern breakers. And when you hear that voice inside, you can tell it, "Thank you, but I got this. Thank you, I'm fine. Thank you, Michelle is supporting me. Thank you, Tracy supporting me. Thanks for voicing. Thanks for trying to keep me safe, but I'm doing it anyways."
I love that so much. Well, we're going to go into our final question for you today, which it's new for me, so I just lost it. Okay, so it's going to be a two-parter for you. Which I think we've actually kind of covered a little bit, but we'll have you dissect a little bit. What's a common misconception about motherhood that you think holds many moms back from stepping into their genius?
I think the most common misconception, now I've got an echo, sorry, um, that it has to be a certain way. And we learn it, like I just covered here, we learn from our past generations of how it's supposed to look. And then when we feel inside like it should be a different way, it creates the feelings of maybe mom guilt. Maybe feelings come up of anger. Why can't it be the way I want it to be? Maybe of some sadness. I feel sad that I can't live how I want. And that's the misconception, is that it has to be a certain way.
So what mindset shifts can we make to help get past that?
And the mindset shifts that we can make to get past that is, number one, recognizing those voices, recognizing
Mhm.
them from where they are, the fear from our limbic brain trying to keep us safe, like I just covered, all of that. And then stepping into finding out who we really are once we can get underneath that. If we can, like, just take the fear, put it to the side, put it on the shelf where your dream used to be, and just find out, who am I and what do I really want? What's going to make me happy? What is going to be fulfilling for me? What is going to make my heart sing? What could I get on Michelle's podcast for and just like ramble on for 30 minutes nonstop? That is what you're looking for. That feeling.
Mhm.
Because let me tell you, when you find that feeling, that passion, your kids are going to feel it. Your spouse is going to feel it. Your family that was currently trying to hold you back and keep you safe, they're going to feel it, because you're talking right from your heart, right from your being, and right from who you really are, and not squished in someone's idea of a box.
I love it so much. Well, tell everyone how they can get the Dream Life Journal and how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm all over Facebook for one. There's the link down there. I think it's sassysuccess.com/dreamlifejournal. And that is the free download, free journal. You'll get a couple of emails from me, and that's it. And if you want to take the next step, or you want to come into my world, I've got a Facebook group, and I love meeting new people. I love to help you if I can. So please get a hold of me.
Love that. I'm going to remove you for a moment, give my takeaways, and bring you back for a final takeaway. Wasn't Tracy amazing? And it really is truly about getting into dreaming big. And so let's go through our 5 takeaways. So number 1, of course, is just learning that ability to dream again. We were talking about young ones asking all these questions, and then we forget that ability. So coming back and trying to get our spirits back and really see what are those dreams inside of us, which leads us into takeaway number 2, which is she focused on those generational patterns. A lot of times we lose that because of those generational patterns, and learning to understand where it's coming from so we can bring back that creativity. Leads us into number 3 is things don't have to be perfect, right? We're always trying to think that we need to have something perfect before we can release it or do things, but really it comes back to let's get things moving. And even as she's saying that the dream aspect is a work in progress right now, but she's here to share what she knows, where she's at, so she can help you move to the next step. And that's what we should be doing for each other. That leads us in takeaway number 4, which she remembered from her coach, which was we are human beings, not human doings. I totally just need to put that right here because I've been focusing on that as well, the achievements and the things that we're doing, and then forgetting that we just need to be sometimes. And honestly, the last couple of days I've sat a little bit more, and then when I come back to doing the work, right, the things happen faster. So when we're living in our genius and we're taking the time to be, that email is going to take you 15 minutes or 2 hours, right? Which one do you want it to be? When we be first, lots of times it's just that 15 minutes. And then our final takeaway really is bringing out those magic pieces, right? We make up all the stories that hide the magic pieces, but the magic pieces, AKA I call the genius, coming forth does when we take away those stories and we get past it. And I love how she used the words, thank you, I got this. And to stop the voices and saying, and get the support that we need from the women around us help. Let me bring Tracy back for her final takeaway.
Wow, that sounds so amazing when you say it that way.
I love it.
My final piece really, ladies, okay? Our grandma's one of the best for their daughters and their granddaughters, and your mom did too, and we want the best for our kids. And you know what? The best thing that we can do for our kids is fill our cup up, show them show them how it's done. Show them what it's like to live a life fulfilled, to have their voice, to create, to innovate. It's the only chance that we have to make a dent in happier families, happier communities, and happier planet. And it starts with the moms. It starts with you. Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. A little tongue tied today. Thank you, Tracy. And we'll see you all on the next episode, which will be actually really shortly. Thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Mama Genius Hub podcast. If you found value in our conversation, please share this episode with another mama who might benefit. Sharing helps us build a supportive community and reach out to more mamas like you. After all, it's more fun when we do motherhood together. Until next time, stay motivated and continue to pursue your dreams as you shine in your genius.